Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Added Time FPL. My name is Nate. This is Mike. This is the number one fantasy Premier League football podcast on the planet with two South Africans, one in Canada and one in the United Kingdom. If you're here for the first time, if you're listening for the first time, just want to say welcome. I'm glad that you're tuning in. Leave a like on the video, subscribe, because we want to get 500 subscribers. We're far off, but we believe. And if you're listening on Spotify, thank you for listening. Drop us a follow. Let us know what you think of today's episode. We're talking about Gameweek 11 episode, Gameweek 11. But before we talk about Gameweek 11, we need to do a bit of a catch-up, Mike. Let's talk about Gameweek 10.
I don't know if I want to talk about it. My head hurts, but I still feel like both of us have been feeling quite for the first time in like 2 seasons, I would say. Like feeling quite low about FPL because not like it's bad, but it's just not going our way. And I
Yeah.
think a lot has to do with we talk about it a little later, but it's just when your captain just doesn't want to go the way you want it to go, and your captain choices are not hitting for everybody, you feel distraught,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
but that being said, I did chip away a little bit at your lead, right?
You did. You got 50 points this week. I got 43. It's not been a good one for me so far. We'll talk about it now, but Solanke was my saving grace. And I just wanted to double back to the segment we had last week about sticking to your plan and not panicking and not making like bad transfers. I just held Solanke, trusted that he would do something. He got me 16 points, saved my game week. So
Yeah,
have to be
and for
grateful.
me, like when I get that, I hold someone who actually scored
Yeah.
after not scoring for a long time. The week after, I'll take him out. I'll be like, fine. I got my points for you. I'm done. You gone? Good. No more.
Yeah.
Like you paid that.
Only reason why I would do that yet is because he's playing against Ipswich this week at home. So, but after that they're playing City, so I'll take them out. But I would say
Hey, they beat
City. I would say City's not necessarily a worry at this time, if you know what I mean.
The big teams are falling, but the sword, except for Liverpool, is still staying up strong. Speaking of which, last week, Salah was the play, right?
Yes.
Not only did I bring Salah back into the fold, but I also
Congratulations.
captained him, which is the reason why I chipped you a little bit.
Yeah, if you didn't see it last week, we were debating whether it was worth having Haaland and Salah. There was a whole segment where we did some statistics. Turns out going with Salah was the way for that week, and might be the way going forward. Do you think that Salah is Liverpool? It's themselves and their form and where they are in the Premier League. Do you think Salah is someone that you need to just keep in your team now?
If I told you that you could put, looking back now for the first 10 game weeks, and you could only captain one player,
Salah.
would Salah not be like if I told you that of game week 1 and I gave you the choices, but I told you that Haaland was not going to score as much as you think he did, it would be Salah, right?
Yeah,
we would go with Salah. So I think if you are one of those players who don't really put that much effort in and you don't want to be changing things every week, you want to set and forget. Now I have a friend named Avesh and he's set and forget on Salah. So that's why he's so high up.
There you
And
go.
I think I have another friend named Yuvan who's pretty angry and he's annoyed and he keeps on telling me he wants to take Haaland captain and transfer him out. And I think this week, Yuvan, if you're listening, it's
got a
time to
point.
ditch Haaland and bring Salah in.
Yeah. For me, we'll talk about it a bit later about game week strategies and plans and transfer moves, but I have definitely moved to Salah. I made the move earlier this week before the price rise. So if you don't have the money, I think you might as well get rid of Haaland because we saw it again. Uncle Chris Wood still scoring goals. Wolves, which we'll chat about shortly, on insane form. Solanke even flipping scored. Welbeck's getting points. Vardy's getting points. So in reality, you don't really need Haaland in your team at this point in time.
Yeah, shout out to one of my favorite songs. It's called "Impressions That I Get" by the Super Boss Tones. Nate must go listen to it. And basically the words is, "Have you ever knocked on wood?" or something along those lines.
Nice.
So, yeah, probably referencing a coffin or a hard life. But Chris Wood's been giving us a hard time and a hard life. Speaking of a hard time, Arsenal, they have fallen off a cliff.
Yeah, I decided to stick with Saka and Havertz last week, and let's just say that didn't work out at all. And for those that kept Raya and Gabriel, that also didn't work because they lost to Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing about Nate and I. We both thought Arsenal were going to really, close down on things.
Even Redwan, our other friend, is like, yeah, Arsenal's fixture proof.
Saka and Harvard, you went the Saka and Harvard's route for attacking points. I went the defensive route with Gabriel and Raya. And man, did we get screwed.
No, we did.
Right? I don't even know. I have a lot of Arsenal friends and I speak to them every day. And I told this guy, I said to him, "You're going to St. James. We just lost at St. James. I think you're going to lose at St. James." And he looked at me and he said, "Nah, we got this." What you got?
You got a loss. That's what you got.
No,
Yeah.
Isak made the joke of Arsenal that last game week.
He made me want
And
to
they-
bring him in, to be fair. Like, he played
Yeah.
really well. He really, really did.
Yeah, and just on that note, Arsenal lost today. They just played
That's true.
against Inter,
We're
and they
filming-
lost, and Saka started.
We filming Wednesday night, just after Champions League. Also, yesterday, Man City lost as well against Sporting. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, well, that brings us to our
It's-
next big topic of the week. Man City's losing everywhere, man.
the league,
Like,
the cup,
like,
the Champions
They
League.
haven't lost 3 games in a row since 2018. Okay? 2018.
Is it revival? What's going on?
We were living in different countries, Nate, in 2018.
It
No
was
one knew what COVID
pre-COVID.
was in 2018. Okay?
I mean, we're still living in
So-
different countries, but yeah, I get what you mean.
We were both back in SA, bro. Life was a different ball game back then, and now, for the first time, Pep is just thrown 3 games. Yeah,
Some would say
And,
there's no pep in his step. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there's no Pep. Yeah, he
I
lost
mean-
that Pepsi.
Haaland missing penalties, bro. Like, that's not like him, right?
He's missing. But we already spoke about this. Like, just to clarify, Man City lost in the cup to Spurs.
Mhm.
They lose in the league to Bournemouth, and now they've lost to
Midweek.
Sporting Lisbon 5-1. Okay, so whatever's happened to Pep, and this I saw a downturn in their form ever since they first Arsenal and Haaland threw that ball in the back of Gabriel's head. They were cursed.
I
And
promise
he's
you,
telling
he
everyone to
transferred
be
all his
humble.
goal power. It's gone. It's gone. Really, he's sent it.
Life comes at you fast, man.
Yeah,
I just hear Kendrick in my head there saying, "Be humble." Sit down.
Sit down.
I'm telling you, Haaland sit in his Buddha pose, man.
Yeah, he's not making a good argument to keep him in our teams, especially at the price point of what he is. I mean, he's sitting at 15.3 now, which means he's dropped in price because people are taking him out. He went from 74% last week to 69%, which is a great number. But yeah, people are moving him out, and I think after that horrific performance from City, I think people are still moving him out.
And do you still agree with our assessment that the reason why he doesn't perform is without KDB? Not because he can't perform without KDB, but
because
because
of
the
Foden.
introduction of Foden doesn't allow Haaland to really get the ball, because Foden does a lot more on the ball, a lot more driving centrally rather than releasing the ball.
Yeah, no, I agree. For those of you wondering if you should take him out, I would say you're not missing much, to be fair. For me, my own advice is I won't move him yet because he's still very, very largely owned. And I brought him in before he went up in price. But I had him from day one. So did Mike. So we're not really missing anything by people taking him out. In fact, it benefits us to a point because people take him out and he scores a hat trick. So great for us. But
Yeah,
if you had
I
him at
agree.
15.23, sorry, if you had him at 15.3 million, 15.2 million, you might need to look at moving him on before you lose more money.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I agree. I know you're holding him, and shock and horror, I'm also holding him. And here's the thing: I think it's a 50-50. I think, like, last week, I still believed holding Haaland was the better option.
Yeah.
This week, I'm telling you, it's a 50-50. You could pull Haaland out now, and he blanks again, and you're great. Or he could score a hat trick, right? But
Yeah.
it's 50-50 right now. It could go either way. So for me, I'm a bit stubborn, and we can talk about Solanke a little later, and a little earlier we did, but I'm a little stubborn, and I'm like, you know what? Give me my points for holding him, and then I'll get rid of you. Right? International break coming up gives us 2 weeks to really think about our team. I'm not thinking about making a big transfer of Haaland out before they play, which is, in my opinion, like, even a worse defense. Nothing will ever make me forget Everton. Brighton throwing away a 2-goal lead, and they were a 4-on-1 attack, and they threw it away. I will never ever forget that match. And so, and that was Brighton versus Wolves. I'll never forget it. And they allowed Wolves to come back. And if Wolves can do that, then surely Haaland should be doing something this week. So I think we both keeping him. But the question to captain him, you'll have to listen to the last segment whether to see if we're going to captain him or not.
Another few people on the chat about, I'm going to pull it up, is that we've got an alliteration of sorts going on here as potential Haaland replacements. Because if we're talking about taking out Haaland, who do you replace him with? Well, we've got a few. Mike, do you want to read them off?
Here we go with the 3 W's for winning. We got Wood. We got Watkins. We got Wisa. Okay, those are the 3 W's. If you want to bring someone in, you can bring one of those 3 in. And honestly, all 3 of them look to be picks. Brentford at home with Wisa. Wood is just phenomenal form right now. He's the GOAT of FPL right now. And Watkins has a tasty fixture. Not so tasty fixture because you play Liverpool, but after that their fixtures turn quite nicely. But Liverpool have conceded a couple of goals in the last weeks. But outside of the 3 W's, Nate, if you were not going to take Wood, Watkins, and Wisa, tell me about your the major big W that everybody should be talking about right now.
Wolverhampton Wanderers.
The W's. And that would be Cunha and Strand Larsen. These players are on fire. And Wolves, even though they have one of the worst defensive records I've ever seen, they seem to just be never giving up top.
And they
keep on scoring. And guess who they're playing? They're playing Southampton. So these two teams who have the ability to concede 6 goals are versing each other. So what
it should be like a 4-4. It should be like a 4-5 or 4-4 kind of a game. Who knows? But Murphy's Law ends in 0-0.
Nah, I feel like this is throwing petrol into a fire, bro. It's gonna explode. There's gonna be goals in this game. There must be.
Yeah.
And if you were gonna put your money on someone to score goals, it looks like we'll talk about this later. But Cunha versus Strand Larsen. We'll find out next week who comes out on top. Just a quick thing, Nate. Aside from Wolves, is there other 2 small teams that we've been keeping our eye on that have been punching above their weight?
Yeah, there's a Mike Tyson running around the Premier League thinking that they can one-shot everyone. Or actually, a dark horse Mike Tyson, because no one expected this from them. They start with beating Arsenal 2-0. Then they go ahead and draw to Aston Villa, who I'm going to say is a tough team. So fair play to them. And then they go ahead and beat Manchester City. Frickin' Bournemouth. Who do you think you are?
Bro, and it's weird because they've got those results, but they're not flying with points. From an FPL point of view, I'm not so certain that I would jump into any of them specifically.
Maybe Master Sensei, but as a budget defender option. But other than him, I'm not really sure.
Even the Kirk is.
I wonder, Mike, just a theory. I wonder if Solanke was still at Bournemouth. I just wonder. Bournemouth beating City and Liverpool, City and Arsenal and drawing Aston Villa. If Solanke's there, do they just score more goals? Who knows?
And then pivot to another team that's punching above their weight. And I think this is the team that you actually want to look at some players. Though the problem is that they're going into some tougher fixtures, but they seem to play really well, even if they have a tough fixture. Talking about Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Aina with a 15-point haul. Okay. Hudson Odu getting on the score sheet.
Sure, he made us Aina.
Yeah, he did. He did. And then that's a nice one. And then there's the big man up top, Chris
Wood, yeah.
So, I think that we should definitely be looking at some of these players.
Chris Wood, Mike, he's 5 goals in the last 4 games, sitting on 8 goals so far in the season. I'm pretty sure he's going to rival Haaland for the Golden Boot at this point. The only reason why Haaland's ahead of him is because he scored a few hat-tricks. Genuinely, Chris Wood is on the best form of his life. This is insane. And
I think I saw a stat Chris Wood only had 7 shots on goal and he scored all these goals, and Haaland's had 20 odd and he only scored 2 in the last couple of games.
Yeah, so Haaland's on 11 and Wood's on 8. So next person is Todd Welbeck and Jackson, by the way. Both players who you had, both players who I regret not owning. But we move on.
There's one player from Forest that you didn't mention, and we can use this to pivot into my team plans. because shock and horror, we had this thing where none of the low cost goalkeepers were working. Okay,
Cells, you
so
bastard.
I go and get Raya and Gabriel, and Arsenal decide to forget how to play football. So, in order to afford what we've spoken about this week about bringing in a Wolves player, I brought in Cunha because I just watch him play and he's so good as a number 10 or a striker just being up there.
Mm.
But to afford him, I needed $1 million. So my best option was to drop Raya and go for the man Cells from Forest. What do you think about my move?
That's annoying because so 3 weeks ago he gets 11 points because he makes like 400 saves. The week before that he gets he gets an assist and a clean, or not a clean sheet. He gets an assist. If he got a clean sheet, it would have been, he probably would have closed the gap. And then another clean sheet against West Ham. So he's representing the budget picks, and yeah, I think it's a great move. I'm I'm not super jealous yet, but I'm leaning towards it. Only I say yet because he hasn't hauled points for you yet. Because for me,
Bro, flicking,
Flecken
bro.
is
Bro, every
unlucky,
time you watch a game, it's the
bro.
last 5 minutes and
Bro,
flicking goes from 12 to 4, 3, 5, 12 to 8 to 4 points like the last 5 minutes. I always want to screenshot and send you. Hey, what happened, Nate?
I mean,
Ah,
look, 3 weeks ago he gets 4 points, but no clean sheet because of all the saves he's making. Then they beat Ipswich, but didn't have to make saves because he conceded 3 goals. And then last week against Fulham, just making a ton of saves once again. 10 saves. He made 10 saves in that
I,
game.
th- I think it's a good pick. However, they've been unlucky to concede
Uh,
late so
it's
many
three of
times.
them. Flecken, Konsa, and Robinson have been pain for me because for some reason in the last 2 minutes of the game we concede a goal. Bring Jose Mourinho back. Anyway. So to sum it up, I back your move. I think Sels is a great shout, and I think to free up who you brought in with Cunha, I think it's a good move. I honestly do. For me, I did something similar to you, except I went for Strand Larson. So matching but differential because I didn't have the money because I brought in Salah. So that's who I went with.
Hey, Salah's back in your team. Now,
Yeah.
everybody out there, I normally tell everybody don't make changes until after the Champions League, after
Mm.
the Europa League, after midweek fixtures. What if there's injuries? Nate made a change. What is it? What is Monday night? Sunday night?
Mm-mm. Sorry, a bit parched. It was Sunday night. I was messaging you Sunday night and I said, Mike, these guys' prices are rising and I'm thinking about this. And we had a call and you backed it. I mean, and I think it was a good move because it is Salah and the price is going up and I wouldn't be able to afford him if I didn't do this. And I had the exact money to bring Lawson and Salah. On top of that, I know we have an international break coming up, but I do have 2 free transfers. Well, I'll have 2 free transfers going into it. So it's not the end of the world, but also I don't think Salah's playing this international break, if I'm not mistaken. Could be corrected. But yeah,
Either way, it's still really good to have Haaland and Salah for this one game week, right?
yeah, because
And I
both of them
think
can
after
score
this
big.
game week, if Haaland blanks, going into some tougher fixtures after the international break, I think a lot of people, including both of us, will probably think about is it time to ditch Haaland?
Mm.
But this might be the one week where
He
having both
scores.
of them
Yeah,
is the optimum moment. So I'm holding both too, and I mean I think you made the right decision, and I think that if there's anything we learned from this season so far, it's that we should never have not trusted Mohamed Salah from game week 1 because he has been performing like this for the last several years. So
yeah.
why wouldn't he do it again? If
We
he's there,
apologize
he's gonna get
profusely.
points.
Yeah, we apologize, Mohammed. Please please don't burn us now because we brought you back into our team. But on that, because you're going to be having Haaland and Salah, so let's talk about who you're going to captain.
Well, this is the thing that's been causing us depression, right? Because I mean, if you had captained the right player last week, who is a better captain choice in your team last week? Who? Oh, Solanke. If you had captain
Rogers, but
Solanke,
yeah,
yeah.
Solanke. Yeah.
If let's say you captain Solanke, you would be sitting pretty,
Mm.
right? So captain his choice is really demoralizing us right now, particularly Haaland because he's supposed to be scoring and he's not. So Nate, what's the percentage chance you're gonna captain Haaland this week?
Bro, it's so annoying because you can't not. especially with the fixture coming up against Brighton. Like, we know Brighton concede goals, so it's. But then also Haaland's missing penalties. It's such a difficult decision because, okay, I will say this. On the upside, if I don't captain Haaland, I still get the points compared to everyone that just took him out. So there is that upside to look at it. However, what if Salah doesn't score and I captain him and Haaland does? It's like now you're further behind. So it's such a difficult decision. For me, I think
Give me a
60%.
percentage.
60%.
60%. Okay, 60%.
60%
I'm
is
I'm
4.
50-50.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm leaning
I'm
more towards
50-50.
Haaland, but yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's going to be a
I'm
deadline day confirmation kind of a thing.
I'm coin tossing, and I agree that Haaland and Salah are a really good picks. For me, Salah, though, playing Aston Villa means that you're right. I would lean towards Haaland over Salah.
Mm.
However, I'm not thinking about captaining Salah this week. I am thinking about captaining Mbuemo because Mbuemo
Let
has
him
been on
cook.
fire. I know he blanked last time out, but he has such a high ceiling, and he has 3 really good fixtures from now onwards. And if you leave your captain on Mbuemo, I have this feeling that if he's gonna hold like 10 plus points every week, I'll be looking pretty. So I'm actually going to flip a coin on Haaland and Mbuemo.
Yeah. The Mbeumo is a very good outside shout. They're playing Bournemouth this week at home. They're playing Everton away, and then they're playing Leicester again at home. So, I mean, I back it as well as a good shout. Considering the only thing I would say is that this week will be tricky. We'll have to see how good Brentford are because Bournemouth's form is incredible right now.
Yeah. Thing is, I don't think Brentford will win the match, but I think
But
Bremer still
Mbeumo
scores.
scores.
That's the thing, right?
He's consistent like that. He will score. And Haaland, unfortunately, Haaland either scores 2-3 goals or he just blanks. That's just the way he is.
Yeah. And yeah, Fulham last time out are really good defensive side, so I'm not surprised that they shut down Bremer. But
if for me, if I had to go with the differential compared to your Mbeumo, I would pick Solanke. Obviously, coming back off a brace and now playing Ipswich at home, so you would assume he would score another goal, but who knows with this man?
you are brave to trust Spurs, sir. I know, bro. No. I won't trust in Spurs with anything.
Yeah, I know they beat Man City. Brace for Solanke. Things are up in the sky. This happened last time, just by the way, earlier in the season. They went on a winning form, and then they just decided, no, we're going to lose a couple of games. And then they went on a winning form again, and then they just lose a couple of games. So they've just gone on their winning form. So I believe they're going to lose a couple of games.
They're riding a bit of a wave. They did beat City in the cup. They won this last weekend against West Ham. So let's see what they do against Ipswich. I've got Johnson to cover just in case. So hopefully it matches your Solanke pick. But if you captain him and he does score a hat trick or something like that, and Solanke has in the past for other teams for Bournemouth has been a solid pick. So I'm interested to see where that goes. And then let's just shout out to Wolves players. You might want to captain Acuna, a Larson, or an Alt Nori because they are playing Southampton. If I was going to choose a player that I was definitely going to captain, I already told Nate this. I think my Cunha pick is a better captain choice than Larson because of the way he plays from the eye test. But realistically, Cunha can go do his thing, and I don't really worry about captaining him. I'm choosing between Haaland and Buemo. And it looks like you choosing between Salah and Haaland and Solanke.
Yeah. Well,
Would you say more to Haaland and Solanke or Haaland and Salah?
Haaland and Salah. Solanke is a pick if I see that Haaland's prices go down quite a bit and people take him out, which means he's not going to be a captain pick. So then I wouldn't have to worry about matching because I want to try and match the people above me as well. So that's where that comes into play.
But that's all we have time for because we
That
just
is all we have time
hit
for.
our whistle, the end of the game. We didn't. You know what? I think we deserve an extra like on this video because we didn't mention anything about Chelsea at all.
Wow.
We didn't mention a player. We didn't mention anything. We didn't talk about the loss,
That's
the
bad.
win,
I mean,
the draw.
this
I
is a
think we.
proper FPL podcast now. This was a true thoroughbred podcast. Definitely.
So yeah, so good luck for the week. Good luck for the games coming. Good luck, Arsenal. Good luck, Chelsea. The big one up this week. And welcome to Amarim after the international break. We'll see what happens.
There you go.
Any game you're looking forward to this weekend? Besides Chelsea, Arsenal.
Well, besides that, because that's quite a big game for us, and I really hope we win. But I am definitely looking forward to watching that Wolves game against Southampton.
Oh, I was just about to say the same thing. I can just see goals, bro.
I'm so
I just see
excited
goals.
Yeah, it's going to be a good day, good Saturday to spend watching that football game. So yeah. But nevertheless, as always, may the points be in your favor, and good luck for the game week. Let us know down below as you tell us your changes for this week. Tell me if you're going to captain Haaland. Tell me if you're going to captain Salah. Help me with my decision. Tell Mike if you think captain Shouter from Buemo is good. And then tell us who you think's the better team for this week. But otherwise, we'll catch you next week for Game Week 12, episode 12.